Favour?
Okay. Do you wish to debate for or against the motion?
Against.
Against the motion. So BIC will be debating against the motion. French Lycée will be debating for the motion. You have half an hour. We start here at 10 o'clock exactly.
Shall I follow me? I have 2 rooms available for you.
Final session of this season of the Rotary Debates competition. And are we all comfortable up there?
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. Doesn't it look dramatic? Congratulations and thanks to Palmer Pictures for all their work. I have to tell you that this studio had 80 people working on an Albert yesterday, and they've worked almost through the night to clear things to the side and set it up for us. So many thanks to them. We have 6 schools in the, as you all know, taking part this year. There was the Academy. Special welcome to those from the Academy. I know you're not debating today, but welcome. I hope you enjoy the morning. We have, of course, the Agora, BIC, French Lycée, the Mallorca International School, and of course Queen's were the 6th school, which unfortunately had to retire from the competition this year. I'm sure they'll be back next year. Today's debates. The first one is for the 3rd and 4th place, which will be taking place in a few minutes. The BIC versus the French Lycée. Second debate for the 1st and 2nd debate will be taking between Agora and the Mallorca International School, will take place at 11:30. May I say huge thanks to our sponsors, and I see most of them here, which apart from Palmer Pictures. We have a ticket travel company, Nikki, thank you very much for the wonderful spread that's out there for the meriendas later on, thank you. We have Jackie from Age Concern, the present Age Concern, thank you for your trophies. And of course we've got representatives of Phoenix Media here who are kind enough to be doing all the photographic work, thank you Gigi as well. I would also like to say a special thanks to our jury members because they faithfully turn up at all our events, whatever day or time it is. There are 9 of them, and I'm hasten to say this is the first time in 6 years that all 9 judges are here. So to Alison, David, Graham, Izzy, Julie's in the back there somewhere, there we are, Hannah, Ollie, Paul's I think somewhere else at the moment, and say many thanks on behalf of the Rotary Club and all the schools for your dedicated and hard work. And of course our debates, thanks to the Rotary team who are here, John, Viv, I think Chris is somewhere around there, Ron and Harry, many thanks for all your dedication. If you want to know more about Rotary, please, you've all got one of our recent leaflets, and I would ask you to take it with you and just give it a little look and a little bit of consideration about what it's about. Housekeeping rules, most important. From Mr. Obi, you've already all been given the rules as far as protocol for COVID is concerned. Please respect them individually as well as groups. It's important to all of us. I would also ask you to continue to wear your mask at all time, and as you can see, the seats are socially distanced. 2 other points. Toilets, if you're asking, are just round the corner there on the left-hand side. And a reminder, phones on silent mode, please. All your mobile phones on silent mode. So here we are, absolutely to the dot, and it's 10 o'clock, and we are starting the first of our 2 debates. The BIC versus the French Lycée. The motion today is, government should have the legal right to track their population through mobile devices. Government should have the legal right to track their population through mobile devices. For the motion, after the toss half an hour ago, French Lycée, against the motion, BIC, therefore going first, French Lycée. My handover today to our timekeeper, Graham. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Teams, just to remind you, I'm sure you know the rules on the timing, but each speech is for 5 minutes. You cannot be interrupted for any reason for the first 1 minute. There are then 3 minutes when points of information may be asked from the opposing team, and then for your final minute you are not to be interrupted. So can we please have the first speaker from French Lycée for the motion? The bell will go after the 1 minute, and it will go again when there is 1 minute left.
A phone. This little object that contains all of your personal information. And when I say that, I mean everything. Your phone knows if you like Bruno Mars, thanks to Spotify, or if you know how to make a pumpkin pie, thanks to YouTube. It knows, of course, all of your friends, thanks to WhatsApp, and your exact location at a precise moment, thanks to Google Maps, for example. And I don't see anybody concerned about that. But when we say that the government would like to track us in order to save our lives from criminals that would like to kill us maybe, then a polemical debate starts. And that leads me to the following question. Why do we trust more these little objects that are commanded by someone we don't even know more than the government we chose? Good morning, my name is Arif, and my teammates and myself will be arguing today in favor of the motion the government should have a legal right to track their population through mobile devices. My teammates, Damien, will talk about how mobile device tracking could decrease criminality rates and allow us to save thousands of lives. Well, Nico will display to you how it would help counter the COVID-19 spread. Now, what is a mobile device? A mobile device is a piece of portable electronic equipment that can connect to the internet. These include your smartphone, laptop, tablet, and your smartwatch. When a phone is in standby mode, ready to make or receive a call, it reaches the strongest network from nearby cell towers, which is often the closest tower. Now that I have explained what a mobile device is and how does it get tracked, I want to mention something. 2 weeks ago, I read an article from the page myheritage.org that talked about the government tracking us down in order to stop criminal activities around the world. It was pretty interesting, but the part that I found the most interesting were the comments. 60% of the comments said something like this: I refuse the government tracking my phone. It's a violation of my privacy, and unless it's a life-threatening case, the government cannot track our devices. After hearing this, let me expose to you 2 possible scenarios. Scenario number 1, a world where criminal activities are constantly growing and hundreds of homicides happen each day because it would be illegal to track your killers. But hey, you would have what you call privacy. Now, scenario number 2, a world where criminal activities were dramatically decreased thanks to mobile tracking by the government. And surprise, you would still have what you call privacy, because unless you're a suspect, no one will be interested in knowing about those secret things you find embarrassing and you don't want anyone to know about. This said, I would like to ask you a question. Is your privacy still worth hundreds of lives? Jury, audience, opponent team, thank you for listening.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges, and members of the opposing team. Today, me and my fellow teammates will leave you in no doubt that governments should not have the legal right to track their population through mobile devices. First, allow me to deconstruct the motion. Government is the office, function, or authority of the governing body. A legal right is a right based on law, and mobile devices is a general term used for any handheld computer or smartphone. I will mention how governments can't be trusted with this kind of power. My teammate Alak will talk about how this measure would not be efficient, And my other teammate Ava will talk about how this act will be a violation of human rights. The government. Can they be trusted? Well, just look at the headlines recently regarding the British government. They're being caught up in so much corruption that I didn't want to write down an example because I was worried that it would be outdated by the next day. But for those of you who don't know, they've been caught in scandal after scandal regarding breaking their own regulations, breaking fundraising and campaign regulations, a whole load of scandals. But this is hardly a unique time in British history. From the Cash for Honours scandal all the way back to the time of Walpole, our first Prime Minister, corruption has just been an unwelcome fact of British politics. And it's not just British politics. The US has once had corruption be so rampant that it took down an entire administration. France and Italy are hardly models of political integrity, and one hardly has to be a history buff to know why Germany is a great example of why governments can be trusted. And don't even get me started on the governments of China and Russia. I don't think I even have to describe the human rights violations that they go through. With corruption being this universal in almost every government, how can we put our trust in these people and hand over such vital information? Privacy is an essential human right. For us to break it in the name of security under any circumstances would be extremely dangerous, let alone for it to be broken by governments which time and time again have proven that they cannot be trusted with the powers that they all are already being entrusted with, let alone the ability to track and monitor their population. Now, it is possible, as the first speaker of the opposing team said, that this form of surveillance might help increase security, and it might make us somewhat safer, but at what cost? Installing microchips in the population, CCTV cameras on every corner, and establishing a secret police would make us all a lot safer from this kind of crime that we're used to. But those measures I just mentioned, as well as the measures in motion, would also open us up to a new kind of crime. The crime of abuse of power.
Do you agree that individuals have no reason to fear or oppose surveillance programs unless they are afraid it will undercover their own illicit activities?
Well, that's a classic line. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. And it's just not the case. We have a right to privacy. We have a right to protect our own lives. We shouldn't have to prove to the government that we're not criminals. We should be able to protect our privacy and our rights, and they shouldn't be violated in the name of security. But as I said, these measures will open us up to a new type of crime, as described, as well as the measures described in motion, a crime of abuse of power, one that many people are all too familiar with. If you go to any disadvantaged place in the United Kingdom and ask them if the stop and search abilities that the police have make them feel safer, you'll find that they certainly don't, that they feel like they're violated. So too is the case if you go to any place in China and ask the people there for constant surveillance that the government has put them under makes them feel unsafer. People have been sold this lie time and time again that increased security measures are a necessary evil to make people safer. But all it is swapping one crime for another. That's all this motion is, allowing more rights to be violated by the government whilst pretending that it's in the nation's interest. I'd like to finish off with words from one of the great statesmen of the 20th century, Ronald Reagan, described as the great communicator. He once said, and I think this very accurately describes the motion, the scariest words you'll ever hear are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Thank you very much. One person dead. Two people dead. Three people dead. This is a frequency to which people are dying in the world right now because of COVID-19? Yes, one, every 9 seconds. Good morning, my name is Nicholas, and today I will be presenting arguments in favor of the motion governments should have the legal right to track their population through mobile devices. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, over 5 million people have died, and over 270 million have been infected. Hospitals are crowded. The doctors are running out of protective equipment. They are overwhelmed. They are working more than they should. Some of the patients that are being treated die either because the hospitals are full or because they cannot afford to stay in the hospitals. But wait, what does this have to do with governments tracking our phones? Detecting and isolating COVID-19 cases is a priority to slow down this perilous pandemic. Specifically, the WHO reiterated that, and I quote, besides finding, testing, isolating, and treating every positive case of COVID-19, it is vital to trace all contacts of individual positives with other people in order to curtail virus spread rates. Yes?
What would tracking the population to see if they have COVID or not, how would that actually help if the hospitals are under so much pressure already that they can barely cope with the patients they have?
Okay, so if you know that this person has been infected, you can see who has been in contact with this person and make them go in lockdown, whereas I may have been in contact with you and in 1 week you may realize that you have COVID-19. And then the government will know, oh, Nicholas, you've been with this person recently, so you should go to the house and stay there for 10 days. This is how it will help. Well, since the start of the COVID outbreak, a plethora of mobile data collection applications have been developed to help users report their symptoms and track disease.
Point of information.
Yes.
COVID-19 exists right now, but once it's solved, once it doesn't exist, what use will the government have of tracking us once this pandemic is over?
Well, there are constantly new virus being created. You know, in 2009, I think, there was a virus that the kind of flu, and everyone was very worried about the world because it seemed very dangerous. If governments would track our phones, they would know where everyone that has been infected has been. And well, now it's COVID, but then it will be a flu, and then it will be any other infectious disease. An example of governments using these apps are South Korea or Japan. They are actively collecting data at an individual level. Although their apps allow users the possibility of opting out. However, the users consider that their government are going to use whatever data it collects in a responsible way. Okay, the government can know where you are, but, well, as I've been said, unless you partake in illegal actions or are infected with COVID-19, why would they even want to know where a nobody like you or me or him is right now? I mean, there won't be an officer seeing what they're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 12 months a year. So, letting our governments track our phones would help reduce virus spread rates. Less people. Okay, thank you.
judges and the opposing team. The topic for today's debate is that the government should have the legal right to track their population through mobile devices. And I totally disagree with this statement, and I hope you will too once you hear my arguments. Tracking population seems like the easiest thing ever when you say it, right? I mean, how hard can it possibly be? Maybe installing an app, reading the terms and conditions, just the formalities. But if it doesn't hurt the sentiments of the opposing team, may I humbly ask, how are we supposed to believe that a newborn is going to have a phone with them? Or how can we ensure that all 7.9 billion people in this world can be tracked through a mobile device? Can we? I agree. There are many things which can be tracked by a person's mobile device, be it their banking transactions, their locations, even their political affiliations. However, there is absolutely no way population can be tracked by a person's mobile device, simply because there are so many people that have more than one phone, or there are so many people that don't have a device at all, especially those living in emerging or developing countries, or those living in remote villages. Yes, absolutely.
Do you not think that by tracking mobile devices, the Afghan government could stop millions of deaths?
What you're talking about right now, I agree this may happen, but once it's solved, what use would the government have? Yes, maybe right now this is relevant, but I don't think this would be as such relevant later on. Am I to believe that my opponents will only count a person as a true citizen if they have a mobile device, leaving all the young people of our country waiting to be enrolled in the population index only if their parents buy them a mobile phone? I mean, this goes against all fundamental rights, against all values that great nations are built on. This is just a soft way of saying that the government wants to track the day-to-day lives of their citizens. It is no secret that democracy works on the principles of free will. And should the government start tracking our day-to-day lives, free will is sure to dwindle. Democracy is too important to leave in the hands of common people. I guess this is the principle behind today's motion. Also, have you ever considered the catastrophic events that could take place if our mobile phones are hacked, if our private information is leaked, or is in the hands of wrong people? We can't ignore the fact that our privacy and liberty is at stake over here for an idea, a mere idea that may not even be successful. It's like we're handing them our private information on a silver platter, there for them to use, to analyze and do whatnot. We are allowing them to intrude into our personal lives, look at pictures, messages only meant for friends and family. Another question that I would like to raise is that why exactly does the government need to track us through our mobile devices? All this time they were doing so well in tracking each and every criminal, be it traffic cameras, ATM machines, banking transactions, telephone transactions. Then why now do they need our mobile devices when all this time they were so successful and doing so well? Ultimately, for me and for my team, there is no better way of describing this tracking phones idea than absolutely absurd. As I mentioned before, tracking is absolutely futile because our privacy and our liberty is at stake.
Don't you think that what you call privacy is already non-existent with Google and Apple and the big enterprises already knowing everything you do?
Okay, social media may be able to, or other apps may be able to know about us. We are allowing them to know more about us. So why should we again let another party allow to know about us? Why should the government know about us when already there are so many people there are? We should avoid that from happening, in my opinion. Respected judges and fellow opponents, you tell me, is this idea, is this app, is tracking phones so necessary despite our privacy, our personal information being at risk? Thank you very much.
hello to all. You know, listening to the opposition's arguments, I find it funny that all of us attribute so much importance to our own self. Our ego is this decade's mental illness. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Damien, and today I will be developing arguments in favor of the motion. The government should have the legal right to track us through mobile devices. The first law of thermodynamics states the following: energy is neither created nor destroyed. Well, just like energy, crime will never be destroyed. It will only be transformed. And with the rise of technology, cybercrime will reach its zenith in the coming decade. Unless we decide to track all. As of today, there are more than 15 billion interconnected devices all around the world. That represents an increase of 4.2 billion compared to 2020 levels. Now, what if I told you right now that every active ISIS member has a mobile phone right here in their pocket? Have you any idea how much death the Afghan government could stop if they could only track their population? We're talking about billions here. Are you really going to let your self-absorbance decline the lives of the Afghan population? Do you value yourself that much that you're going to let that many people die? They remind you that the ISIS has over 100,000 members. 70,000 of those are active ISIS members, and 70% of those accepted.
You're talking about Afghanistan. That is one country out of the 195 countries in the world. What about the other 194 countries? What use would this be for them?
Would you be talking about Brazil, China, India?
All those
The
countries.
same thing is happening there.
What things?
What things? Well, first of all, do you know that China has one of the highest criminality rates in the world? And you know that would be decreased exponentially if we were able to track them. I hope that answers your question. I would like to call upon the argument that has already been questioned by the opposition once already. The nothing to hide argument. Individuals have no reason to fear or oppose surveillance programs unless they are afraid it will uncover their own illicit activities. I think that is the wisest thing that has ever been said. And I'd like to clarify something for all of you, something that I find very important in my heart. In the hypothetical case where the government does track your every move, thanks to your mobile devices, let me assure you, they absolutely do not care if you're 5 years old, 70 years old, disprove Darwin's theory, or hope to become a nephrologist. Let me assure you. Yes.
Wouldn't you agree that tracking people through mobile devices would not be accurate or efficient since, like I said, not everyone can be tracked? Like old people, young people that don't have a phone.
70,000 ISIS members can be tracked. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you choose to believe that the government should not track their population through mobile devices, then that means that you're ultimately refusing to help those in need, those in China, those in Afghanistan, those in India, those in all of those third world countries that are being devastated by crime, and we are doing nothing about it. So just because you don't want the government to know that you went to Lizzie's coffee shop yesterday, you do not want them to let them die. That's going to happen. And remember, your irrational decisions bear consequences. Thank you.
All trust will be lost if we allow our governments to track us through mobile devices. Why? What is the point of tracking 7.9 billion people? Terrorist attacks? COVID track and trace systems? Neither. As Halak suggested, and Damien has made his argument about, A terrorist would not carry their phone on them, meaning that the government would not be able to locate them. As for the track and trace systems, it's completely flawed, because regular testing has been slowed down to ease pressure on labs. Tell me, what is the point of having all track and trace systems and all tracking devices up when you do not have the ability to guarantee sufficient testing for your population? Privacy is a qualified human right. Article 12 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights states that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with their privacy, family, home, or correspondence. Meaning that everyone has a right to a private life without intrusion. Why then should the government have a legal right to track us through our mobile devices and violate our human right? What makes them so special? Do you not think our lives are already invaded enough? Companies sell our personal information to make money, and your boss can even legally track you and your location 24/7. In fact, the LA Times stated that in 2020, 28% of employers admitted that they were monitoring people's...
So you claim that governments could not track their mobile devices in the case of criminals. You do realize that mobile devices are interconnected. It would take a simple hacker to do so in seconds.
Well, that would just be causing more problems with hacking. It also said that 24% of employees had no idea if their boss was using tracking software or not. Although they may not always do it, companies have the complete capability to track how often you're typing, your employment agreement, your webcam, and they can even access what sites you visit. This was made obvious in lockdown, as we started working from home, where companies could not control their workers. When they took breaks, how long these breaks were, and how much work was being done. They had no trust, faith, or confidence in their employees, so they resorted to spying.
The motion is governments, not companies.
Yeah, I'm coming to that later. Even those with office jobs could be tracked. For example, the Washington Post reported that Amazon tracked factory workers and drivers. They can track how long the drivers spend in the car, where they go, and how long it takes them to get there. Likewise, factory workers are also tracked on how long it takes them to pack up a box and how long they spend on breaks. If we allow the government to have the legal right to track our locations, who knows what other areas of our lives they could keep track of and that we would never know about? Picture this. You wake up in the morning and you reach for your phone. We all do it. You turn it on and start scrolling through various social media pages. But what if someone is watching you? What if they could see exactly what you're doing at every point of the day? Does the thought of the government know where you are at all times not scare you? Even if you know that you aren't doing anything wrong, just the knowledge that you have no privacy from the leaders of our country and that they can do whatever they want with data collected from tracking devices is terrifying. There is a line. One crosses this line when they allow governments, who, as my team have discussed, are not to be trusted, the legal right to track where we go, what we do, and who we see. Giving the government this right would be a complete invasion of our privacy and just gives the governments another way to control their lives. It would be the beginning of a totalitarian state. Thank you.
Thank you, teams. You now have 2 minutes to come to your summary, after which the team opposing, which is BIC, will have a 2-minute summary, and then potentially saying will make their 2-minute summary. So 2 minutes to work it out.
why should you be afraid if you have nothing to hide? That's been essentially one of the main points of the opposing team time and time again. And I think the answer lies in something that one of the opposing speakers, Damien, said, which I think was a very good point about that crime cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And this is definitely the case with monitoring the population. All it will do is transform this crime that we're used to, the traditional crime of getting mugged on the streets, and replace it with the abuse of power that governments will be placed with. All it would do is establish institutions that will violate our civil rights day after day, on a daily basis. What point is there in protecting our lives from crime if by the end of it, the motions we've taken to end crime make our lives pointless to live in the first place? The opposing team also mentioned how it would help end threats such as ISIS. And although we talk about how inefficient this system would be, as it probably would be, it definitely wouldn't end crime, it definitely wouldn't end these threats. Let's imagine for the sake of it that it does, and that these threats are ended. Monitoring the population in this way, and violating our rights in this way to end this crime, will replace these threats that we're used to with a new threat of an Orwellian government that can cause far more terror and far more danger than any of those threats put combined could have ever proposed. That's all this motion will do, is create governments that are far more dangerous than anything we've ever faced with. And we could not accept totalitarianism with whatever justification, even security. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Frenchly say to sum up for the...
Hello to all again. This is why we believe that the opposition most definitely did not make their case. First of all, they just mentioned abusive power, which is what the government would do were they given the chance to track us. Well, you all know, Trump tried that and he got impeached 2 times in a row. They also mentioned that we have the right to privacy. I don't know if you're all aware, but the government already knows everything. It's different because they actually don't care. They only care about what's important. And what's important in this motion is criminality rates, which are decreasing if you all agree to what I'm saying here. They also projected quite a lot. They said once the coronavirus is solved, there will be no need to track our population. Once it is solved. When will it be solved? Do you know? Do I know? Do you know? No one knows. How can you project on something without knowing the future unless you are a seer, whichever that you are? The government could not track the mobile devices because they are criminal, so they would be ready for such thinking. Well, as I have already said, mobile devices are interconnected. It would take a simple hacker to access all of your files in a matter of seconds. What if someone was watching? What if someone was watching you in your afternoon recess while you scroll through your social media? What's the problem with someone watching you? You're embarrassed? Well, really, the government doesn't care if you're embarrassed. Because you don't have anything to hide, then why should you hide? If you're scrolling through social media, the government does not have time to look at you going through social media. Do you think the president of Spain would have fun in his afternoons looking at what you guys do on your social media? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tim. Now we will, as usual, the jury will be leaving for a few minutes to consider their opinions. They will be coming back in about 10 minutes' time and giving those opinions, but of course the results will be announced later on. So we have a few minutes recess and then we will be back to give the answers. Just to fill those in who have just arrived, at 11 o'clock we will be having the draw between the two teams for the next debate. That will take place at 11 o'clock. At 11:30 that debate will start. After, at 11 o'clock as well, you'll be delighted to know that the meriendas will be ready for everybody. But in the meantime, we'll be waiting for the judges to come back. A few minutes. Thank you. But it's for something very important. The judges will now be giving their opinions and comments on the debate. But of course, as the finals are later on, so the results of the debate will be taking place at 12:30. But here are the judges to give their comments on this first debate. Izzy, Tim, and we're missing a judge. We're missing a judge. Ollie.
Good morning. Thank you very much to those two teams. That was a superbly interesting debate and a very, very interesting subject matter. I just scribbled down a few thoughts as you were presenting, and in no particular order of importance. I thought there had been a big improvement in the handling of the points of interest. I thought there were some skillful responses. I thought you had mustered your facts and statistics extremely well, and there was an impressive use of evidence to back up your arguments. Generally, I thought there was a feeling of confidence with everybody. Some of you are mastering the political art of rhetoric. I'm not sure whether that's a good or a bad thing, but you did it well. And overall, I thought your presentations were exciting and stimulating, so congratulations to you all.
I'll have a go at the microphone before Izzy does. I'm trying to work out what Damien did. There we go. Let's do it that way. Perfect. Well, it's not for nothing that you guys are here for the final day, which is very good at what you do. It's an interesting debate as ever. I think the subject matter was bang on because everybody's got an opinion backwards and forwards on this. The structure of the argument is brilliant. Lots of wonderful three dimensions. People coming at it from lots of different angles, really discussing lots of it, and actually reacting to their opponents' opinions as the opinions are being made, which is really important. Researching well and reading it is one thing. Reacting to what your opponent is saying is another. And I was trying to do what Damien from Lycée did, which was own his space. I don't have the skills of how to remove that. And we saw a few people coming here, moving the microphone and lifting it up, telling you how to pace it around. I think somebody moved this to where they wanted it. There's nothing wrong with doing that at all. Make yourself comfortable, you'll make your point better as well. So congratulations to everybody, and we'll find out who won this debate a bit later. So Izzy, who knows what she's doing with the microphone.
Well,
thank you so much. And yes, as Kate mentioned, the actual announcement for third and fourth for the school debates will be later on. But in the meantime, just to round up from us, I'm purely just many thanks. It's been an honour and a pleasure to have been a part of this and to have got this far, no matter how far you get in this tournament competition. You've put yourself forward at very difficult and busy times of your lives with the studying and exams that are coming up. So you're a winner already, because this is a testament to your character and how well you will do in the future. Not just about public speaking, but also about listening and putting your points across, being a stronger person in the future and feeling that confidence. All of this is a part of that. And to be watching such talent and passion and intelligence it's just fantastic. Thank you so much. And so good luck to everybody. And there's not much more to say, and we'll look forward to hearing the next debates. Thank you.
Whoops, our little one again. It's all right, I'm going to say this just at 11 o'clock, please, the Agora team and teacher, the Mallorca International School and teacher, and the timekeeper for the toss of the coin, please. and we have half an hour for meriendas. Please all be back in your places at 11:30.